Listen closely, because what you are about to hear is designed to hit your spirit like a lightning bolt, waking up a giant that has been asleep for far too long. Most people walk through their entire existence operating under a mass delusion. They consider life a grueling battle. They wake up every morning bracing for the next blow, preparing for the next disappointment, and holding their breath in the face of mounting debt, sudden illness, or inevitable heartbreak. You might be one of them. You have been walking around thinking you are just trying to survive the week. You are just trying not to lose your patience with people who constantly test your peace of mind. You are trying your absolute best to stay grateful while life throws unpredictable plot twists at you, almost as if it is trying to win an award for the most tragic drama. You have been treating your life as a cosmic endurance test, believing that if you just suffer long enough, work hard enough, and bleed enough, the universe will finally take pity on you and hand you your reward. I am here to tell you today that this is a complete and utter illusion. Life is not a battle. It is a game, and it is a game of precise giving and receiving. You did not click on this video by accident. You were nudged, pulled, and summoned to this exact moment because deep inside your spirit, you know something has been fighting your progress. You can feel the invisible ceiling pressing down on you. The tragedy is not just that you are facing resistance, but that you have slowly started to normalize it. You have accepted the illusion of struggle as a fundamental truth of your existence. You look around at a world that glorifies the grind, a society that wears burnout as a badge of honor, and you think this is simply how life is supposed to be. When you try to save money and the car suddenly breaks down, you sigh and say, "That is just my luck." When you try to start a new healthy habit and your environment immediately sabotages you, you accept defeat and crawl back into your old routines. You have allowed the physical world to convince you that you are a victim of circumstance. That false foundation crumbles right now. Let me tell you something incredibly blunt. You are not stuck because you are weak. You are not stuck because you are unlucky. You are not stuck because you lack the right education, the right background, or the right connections. You are stuck for one simple, profound reason. You have been silent. Your problem has never been your struggle. Your problem has been your silence. You have been letting your circumstances do all the talking. The unpaid bills are shouting at you. The physical ailments are shouting at you. The delays, the rejections, and the opinions of other people are screaming in your face. And in response to this deafening noise of the physical world, you have been trying to be quietly positive. You have been trying to be patient, as if the universe is somehow deeply impressed by your humility and your willingness to suffer in silence. The universe is not impressed. Infinite intelligence does not respond to a beggar. It does not respond to a victim. Life responds to boldness. Life bows to authority. Life moves only when you step up and declare exactly what must be. You have been completely underestimating your own spiritual mechanics. You have been using your greatest spiritual weapon to build the very prison that keeps you trapped. That weapon is your spoken word. Your word is your wand. Yet, look at how you have been wielding this immense power. You have been waving this wand carelessly, destructively, and unconsciously. You have been whispering timid affirmations when you were meant to be speaking divine decrees. You have been wishing for things to get better. Wishing is soft. Wishing is entirely powerless. Wishing is the spiritual equivalent of walking up to a locked door and politely asking the wood to please move out of your way if it has the time. Declarations are not requests. They are not hopes. They are spiritual legislation. They are energetic laws that you set into motion the second they leave your lips. Words are not merely sounds vibrating in the air. They are direct, unyielding instructions to your environment. They are invitations to blessings that have already been assigned to you, waiting in the invisible realm for the moment you finally open your mouth and authorize their release into your physical reality. Every blessing meant for you is already created, fully packaged, and waiting with your name on it. The only thing missing is your authorization. To understand why this is your greatest weapon, we must look at how you have been unknowingly using it against yourself. Your life is always, without exception, echoing your declarations. even the ones you did not realize you were making. Complaining is a powerful declaration. Worrying is a highly effective declaration. Doubting is a precise decree. When you wake up, look at your bank account and say out loud that you never have enough money. The universe does not argue with you. It does not try to comfort you. The universe simply acts as a faithful servant, taking your words as a direct command. It says, "Instruction received," delivering lack and restriction immediately. It will ensure that unexpected expenses arise and opportunities bypass you entirely because you decreed it. When you say that people always disappoint you, you send out an energetic signal that acts like a magnet, pulling in the exact individuals who will betray your trust and fulfill your prophecy. You have been commanding your reality every single day, but you have been commanding it from a place of fear rather than a place of divine authority. Today, we flip the script. You are about to speak something over your life that shifts the entire current of your reality. You are going to do this not gently and not politely. You are going to speak like a divine bulldozer, clearing every obstacle that has ever pretended to have the right to stand in your way. Imagine your life as a vast, rich kingdom. In this kingdom, you are the absolute ruler, and your words are the royal decrees. If the ruler sits on the throne in total silence, the kingdom does not simply pause. It runs on default programming. And the default programming of the human mind is always fear, doubt, and ancestral conditioning. It is the survival mechanism that keeps you playing small. Today, you take back the throne. You stop negotiating with your current reality. Your bank account might be empty, your body might be tired, and your relationships might be strained. That is merely the echo of your past words. You are no longer speaking to your current reality. You are speaking to the reality you are actively creating in this precise moment. This is not about simply thinking happy thoughts. This is about structural, energetic alignment. Everything in this universe listens to vibration. When you declare something with unwavering confidence, your personal vibration rises. When your vibration rises, the blessings that were previously tripping over your doubts and fears suddenly have a clear, illuminated path straight to your door. But there is a catch, and it is the trap that catches almost everyone who attempts to change their life. People sabotage their own blessings because they will declare something magnificent once, and then they will complain about their circumstances 10 times before the day is over. The universe is not confused by this. It simply responds to the dominant signal you are sending. If your dominant signal is frustration, frustration is what will manifest. You must develop an iron discipline over your spoken word. You must override the old system. When your mind tries to tell you that a new, abundant belief is not realistic, you must treat that old programming like a security guard that works for you. You are the boss. You look at the resistance, and you override it with a louder, firmer decree. You must understand that the struggle you feel right now is simply the friction between who you used to be and who you are commanding yourself to become. It is an illusion meant to test your resolve. The moment you recognize that the physical world is completely entirely secondary to the spiritual world, the illusion loses its grip on your throat. You stop fighting the reflections in the mirror, and you start changing the object casting the reflection. That object is your inner state, vocalized through your spoken word. You are stepping into a master class of reality creation. You are leaving behind the timid, apologetic version of yourself that asks life for permission to be happy. From this moment forward, you do not ask, you declare. You do not hope, you command. You do not seek, you summon. This requires a profound understanding of the machinery you are operating. To wield this wand with absolute, flawless precision, to ensure that your decrees cut through the illusion of struggle and manifest instantly in your physical world, you must first master the kingdom within. You must understand the 3 distinct departments of your mind, for they are the engine room of your reality. To truly master the reality you are stepping into, you must intimately understand the machinery you are operating. You are currently driving a vehicle of infinite, world-bending power, yet you have been treating it like a fragile toy because no one ever handed you the manual. To stop being a victim of your circumstances, to stop feeling as though invisible forces are blocking your progress, you must understand the architecture of your own consciousness. There are three distinct departments of the mind. These are not physical locations in your brain. They are the energetic, spiritual functions of your very existence. They are the subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious. If you do not understand exactly how these three interact, your decrees will remain nothing more than empty, vibrating air, and your blessings will remain forever suspended in the invisible realm. The tragedy of human existence is that these three departments are almost always at war with one another within the average person. But when you force them into absolute alignment, you become a terrifyingly powerful force of nature. Let us begin with the engine room of your reality, the subconscious mind. You must understand that the subconscious mind is simply power without direction. It is the raw, unadulterated energy of creation. It is much like electricity or steam. Electricity does not possess a moral compass. It does not care if it is being used to illuminate a beautiful home or if it is being used to burn a structure to the ground. It simply flows exactly where it is directed by the one controlling the switch. Your subconscious mind has no sense of humor, it has no ability to reason, and it possesses absolutely no power of induction. It cannot judge whether a thought or a decree is beneficial for your life or deeply destructive to your future. It is a faithful, unquestioning servant. It simply accepts whatever the conscious mind deeply feels or whatever you vividly image in your mind's eye, and it immediately sets to work manifesting that exact blueprint into your physical reality down to the most microscopic detail. This is exactly why complaining is such a devastatingly effective declaration. When you habitually speak of your lack, when you state out loud that you never have enough money, or when you casually joke that nothing good ever happens to you, your subconscious takes that as a royal command. It salutes you, says your will be done, and then literally orchestrates your physical environment to ensure you experience exactly what you decreed. It will make sure the tire goes flat. It will ensure the promotion goes to someone else, and it will align you with failure because you gave it the blueprint of failure. Now we must examine the gatekeeper, the conscious mind. I often refer to this as the carnal mind or the intellect. This is the department of mind that sees life entirely through the physical senses. It observes the empty bank account, it reads the intimidating medical report, it looks at the closed doors, and it logically, rationally, concludes that you are in terrible trouble. The conscious mind is a wonderful, practical servant for navigating the physical world, but it is a horrific, limiting master for creating your reality. It is the security guard standing strictly at the door of your subconscious. When you try to declare that you are wealthy, healthy, or loved, the conscious mind looks at your current physical evidence and immediately rejects the decree. It shouts that your words are not believable. It tries to protect you from disappointment by keeping you locked in the familiar, predictable comfort of your suffering. This is the exact inner argument you feel when you begin to speak truth over your life. You say that blessings follow you, and your conscious mind immediately reminds you of yesterday's failures and tomorrow's bills. You must understand that the intellect is heavily conditioned by the collective fears, doubts, and anxieties of humanity. If you allow your conscious mind to dictate your reality based only on what it can currently see with the physical eyes, you will forever remain trapped in a brutal cycle of cause and effect. You will remain a victim. You must learn to ruthlessly override this security guard, and you override it through the sheer, repetitive, unapologetic force of your spoken word. This brings us to the highest realm of your being, the superconscious mind. This is the realm of perfect ideas. This is the divine mind, the Christ within, the realm of absolute and undeniable spiritual truth. In the superconscious, there is no lack, there is no disease, there is no delay, and there is no struggle whatsoever. It contains the divine design of your life. Every single person breathing on this earth has a divine design. A perfect path that includes perfect health, lavish wealth, divine love, and perfect self-expression. This is what it means when we say that every blessing meant for you is already created, already packaged, and already has your name boldly written on it. It exists right now, fully formed in the superconscious realm, but it cannot force its way into your physical life without your direct invitation. The superconscious provides the perfect, flawless blueprint, but it requires your conscious mind to stop looking at the physical storms and instead choose to speak that perfect blueprint into existence. When you speak it, you impress that divine blueprint directly onto the subconscious engine room, which then pushes it out into your physical world. The reason so many people feel hopelessly blocked, the reason blessings seem to take an eternity to arrive even when you are praying and trying to manifest, is because inner agreement is missing. You cannot declare abundance with your mouth if your inner, conscious conversation is secretly terrified of poverty. You cannot demand success while you are mentally preparing a backup plan for failure. Blessings require absolute, uncompromising alignment. Your words, your emotions, and your expectations must move in the exact same direction. Think of a captain navigating a massive, powerful ship across the ocean. The captain is your conscious mind, standing high on the bridge, looking out at the water and giving the orders. The dark engine room deep below the deck is your subconscious. The workers in the engine room cannot see the ocean. They cannot see the dark clouds. They cannot see the massive waves. And they do not know the final destination. They only follow the telegraph signals sent down by the captain. If the captain looks at a storm, panics, and sends a signal to reverse the engines, the ship goes backward into danger. The workers do not argue, they just pull the levers. The perfect safe harbor you are trying to reach is the superconscious. You have been acting like a terrified, reactive captain. You have been looking at the temporary, physical storms of your life and screaming orders of panic and lack down into your own engine room. You have been telling your subconscious to prepare for disaster, and it has faithfully, powerfully driven your ship straight into the rocks. You must fire the terrified captain today. You must stop observing the storm. You must lock your vision entirely on the perfect harbor of the superconscious, and you must send unwavering, bold commands down to your engine room through your spoken word. This is exactly what it means to decree. A decree is not a hopeful, passive suggestion tossed up to the universe. A decree is the captain of the ship picking up the radio and demanding full power forward, completely regardless of what the terrifying waves look like outside the window. When you declare that your supply is endless and flows to you now, you are intentionally bypassing the panicked intellect. You are forcing the logical security guard to step aside. You are taking the perfect idea of absolute abundance from the superconscious realm and you are burning it directly into the subconscious machinery. You say it until the subconscious stops arguing with you. You declare it in the morning before your carnal mind has a chance to remember all of yesterday's problems. You declare it in the face of intense fear. When doubt whispers that your life is falling apart, you do not shrink, you do not analyze the doubt, and you do not negotiate with it. You declare louder that everything is working for you in perfect divine order. You must repeat it until the new reality completely replaces the old programming. You are not trying to convince an external universe to take pity on you and bless you. You are commanding your own mental machinery to align with the infinite blessings that already belong to you by divine right. It is an inside job. When you finally grasp this, you realize that your environment is entirely at your mercy. The delay you are experiencing is simply the time it takes for your subconscious to clear out the old instructions of fear and begin executing the new instructions of power. Do not interrupt the process by checking the physical world for evidence. If you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every single morning to see if it has roots. You water it, you leave it in the dark, and you trust the law of nature. Your words are seeds planted in the dark, fertile soil of the subconscious. Leave them alone. Stop digging them up with your doubts. Keep watering them with your repetition. Keep standing in your authority, and know with absolute certainty that the harvest is inescapable. Before you can fully command the miraculous machinery of your subconscious mind, before you can stand on the bridge of your conscious mind and direct your ship into the harbor of infinite abundance, there is a massive, often painful barricade that must be entirely dismantled. You now understand that your words are energetic instructions, and you understand that your subconscious is a faithful, unquestioning servant. But you must ask yourself a deeply uncomfortable question. Why does it feel like your decrees are hitting a brick wall? Why does it seem like your blessings are taking forever to show up, even when you are praying, declaring, and attempting to keep your faith intact while the physical world tests your patience? The answer lies in the condition of your spiritual pathways. You can have the most powerful engine in the world, but if the fuel lines are entirely clogged with thick, toxic sludge, the engine will inevitably fail. In the realm of spiritual mechanics, the absolute most toxic substance in existence, the sludge that chokes your divine flow and single-handedly destroys your manifestations, is unforgiveness. We are now entering the absolute heart of your spiritual transformation, which is the law of forgiveness. This is not a soft, passive, or merely ethical concept designed to make you a polite member of society. This is a severe, exact, and unyielding spiritual utility. It is the master key that unlocks the invisible reservoir of your delayed blessings. Most people completely misunderstand forgiveness. They believe that forgiving someone who wronged them is a sign of weakness. They believe that holding on to anger, resentment, and a desire for revenge is somehow protecting them from being hurt again. They wear their victimhood, their grievances, and their past traumas like a heavy suit of armor, completely unaware that this very armor is the exact thing pulling them straight down to the bottom of the ocean. Resentment is not a shield. Resentment is a spiritual acid that entirely rots the vessel carrying it. You must recognize the grand illusion of righteous anger. Your carnal mind, your intellect, loves to be right. It loves to build a massive courtroom in your head where you are the innocent victim and everyone else is the guilty villain. You replay the betrayal, the insult, the unfair termination, or the broken promise thousands of times in your mind. Every single time you replay that memory and feel that familiar surge of bitterness, you are sending a direct, powerful, and terrifying instruction straight down into your subconscious engine room. You are actively declaring that you are a victim. You are permanently tying your personal vibration to the exact person or circumstance that hurt you. The universe does not possess a moral courtroom. The universe does not care who was right and who was wrong in your physical disputes. It only reads your dominant energetic signal. If your dominant signal is anger, betrayal, and injustice, the universe says, "Instruction received," and it immediately sets out to bring you more circumstances, more people, and more situations that will make you feel angry, betrayed, and unjustly treated. You cannot declare absolute financial abundance with your mouth if your inner conversation is consumed by a burning hatred for a former business partner. You cannot decree profound, unconditional love while your heart is a locked fortress guarding a decade of resentment against an old relationship. Blessings require total inner agreement. When you hold a grudge, your inner agreement is fundamentally fractured. You are attempting to drive your ship forward at full speed while dropping a massive steel anchor tied directly to your past. The friction will tear your life apart. To break this devastating cycle, you must understand the radical difference between the law of karma and the law of grace. The law of karma is the fundamental law of cause and effect. It is the old world operating system of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. As long as you operate in the vibration of anger and resentment, you are permanently trapped on the agonizing wheel of karmic law. You will constantly reap the bitter harvest of the negative seeds you have sown. Every unloving thought you send out will eventually return to you as a physical hardship. But there is a higher law, a supreme spiritual override code that entirely shatters the wheel of karma. That is the law of grace. The law of grace dictates that you are no longer bound by your past mistakes, your past traumas, or the toxic actions of other people, provided you choose to completely wipe the slate clean through the act of forgiveness. Forgiveness instantly lifts you out of the heavy, suffocating atmosphere of cause and effect and elevates you into the pristine, limitless realm of divine favor. It is a spiritual emancipation. When you forgive the person who lied to you, the person who stole from you, or the person who abandoned you, you are not validating their actions. You are not saying that what they did was acceptable. You are simply declaring that they no longer have the authority to dictate your future. You are taking back the throne of your kingdom. You are severing the invisible, toxic cord that kept you energetically chained to their ignorance. You are setting a prisoner entirely free, only to realize that the prisoner was always you. You must look at your life as a spiritual closet. For years, you have been desperately hoarding old pain from a decade ago, fears from your childhood, and bitter expectations placed upon you by people who had absolutely no idea who you were destined to become. You complain that you have no room for new blessings, yet your closet is completely filled from floor to ceiling with the dusty, rotting garments of your past grievances. When you finally begin to declare unstoppable blessings, the universe says it is ready to deliver, but you must first make space. Forgiveness is the act of aggressively throwing out the garbage. It is the supreme act of making room for the divine design of your life to enter. But there is a level of forgiveness that is far more difficult and far more critical than forgiving those who have wronged you. You must execute the ultimate pardon. You must deeply and completely forgive yourself. You have been carrying a crushing burden of guilt for your perceived failures. You are angry at yourself for the time you wasted, for the terrible financial decisions you made, for the toxic relationships you stayed in for far too long, and for the thousands of negative, destructive words you blindly spoke over your own life before you understood the power of your decrees. You must realize that you were simply operating under the default programming of the physical world. You were a sleeping giant, entirely unaware of your own immense strength. You cannot hold the awakened version of yourself hostage for the mistakes made by the sleeping version of yourself. Today, right now, in this very moment, you are going to clear your spiritual slate so thoroughly that nothing will ever be able to block your divine flow again. You are going to create a massive declaration shift that permanently rewires your energetic environment. You must speak this aloud, bypassing the rational, argumentative intellect and driving this truth straight into the absolute depths of your subconscious mind. You declare with absolute, unwavering authority that you call upon the law of forgiveness. You state that you completely and unconditionally forgive everyone who has ever harmed you, consciously or unconsciously. You release them to their own divine path, and you take back all of your spiritual energy. You declare that you release every ounce of resentment, every shadow of anger, and every lingering thought of revenge. You wipe the slate entirely clean, and then you turn that divine light inward. You declare that you forgive yourself entirely for every negative word, every fearful thought, and every moment of doubt you have ever harbored. You state that you are no longer under the cruel law of karma, but you operate exclusively under the magnificent law of grace. You are free from past mistakes and entirely free from the consequences of past mistakes. When you make this supreme decree, you will feel a literal, physical shift in your atmosphere. You will feel a heavy, invisible weight detach from your chest. The walls of your inner fortress will crumble, and the stagnant energy that has been suffocating your potential will instantly melt away. You have finally cleared the pipeline. You have removed the barricades. You have opened the massive gates of your spiritual kingdom, and the unstoppable flood of blessings that have been waiting patiently for years is now entirely free to rush directly into your physical reality. If you have just felt that massive spiritual weight lift off your shoulders, and you are finally ready to operate under the profound law of grace instead of the brutal wheel of karma, I want you to hit the like button right now. Liking this video sends a physical signal to the universe that you are actively making room in your spiritual closet. And if you are committed to mastering these exact teachings of Florence Scovel Shinn, make sure you click subscribe so you never miss a single masterclass. Let us continue building your new kingdom together. Now that you have cleared the spiritual slate through the profound law of forgiveness, and now that you understand how to direct your conscious mind to command the engine room of your subconscious, we must address the most critical, the most misunderstood, and the most terrifying phase of manifestation. This is the exact phase where millions of people abandon their faith, drop their wands, and run straight back to the familiar comfort of their suffering. You have spoken your decree. You have demanded absolute abundance, perfect health, and divine love. You expect that the very next morning the skies will part, angelic music will play, and your entire life will instantly transform into a peaceful, frictionless paradise. But that is not what happens. Instead, you wake up and your entire world seems to catch fire. The job you were tolerating suddenly fires you. The partner you were trying to make things work with abruptly walks out the door. An unexpected financial crisis drops directly onto your lap. Your car breaks down, your friends turn their backs on you, and every single circumstance around you appears to violently collapse. Your conscious mind immediately hits the panic button. You scream at the universe, completely horrified, believing that your decrees have somehow backfired. You look at the destruction, and you say that this is not what you asked for, and you instantly conclude that the spiritual laws are a fraud. I am here to tell you that when your life violently shakes after a powerful decree, you are not failing. You are experiencing the undeniable, spectacular proof that your words are actively rearranging the fabric of your reality. You are experiencing the spiritual law of chemicalization. To understand chemicalization, you must understand the basic physics of spiritual vibration. Everything in your life, your income, your relationships, your environment, and your physical health currently exists at a specific vibrational frequency that you have established over years of default programming. You have built a life perfectly molded to the shape of your old fears, your old doubts, and your past compromises. When you suddenly stand up and declare an unstoppable blessing, when you demand the divine design of your life to manifest, you are violently injecting a massive, high-frequency current of truth into a low-frequency environment. What happens when you pour boiling water into a glass that is freezing cold? The glass shatters. The old structure simply cannot contain the new energy. You cannot pour new, expansive, divine wine into the old rotting bottles of your past limiting beliefs. When you speak a decree of absolute divine order, every single thing in your life that is out of order is instantly forced to the surface to be eradicated. This clash of energies creates a massive spiritual friction. Things will shake, situations will rearrange themselves with the absolute subtlety of a massive furniture truck crashing directly into your living room. It will be loud, it will be messy, and it will be profoundly uncomfortable. But this destruction is not a punishment. It is a divine eviction notice served to everything that no longer matches your new royal identity. Think of your life as a massive spiritual closet. For years, you have been desperately hoarding things that do not belong to your highest good. You have been storing toxic relationships from a decade ago, self-sabotaging habits from 2016, crippling fears inherited from your childhood, and tiny, suffocating expectations from people who never understood your potential. You have filled every shelf and every hanger with the heavy, moth-eaten garments of survival and struggle. Then, you step into your spiritual authority and you loudly declare that you are a magnet for infinite, unstoppable abundance. The universe hears your decree. Infinite intelligence springs into action and says that it is ready to deliver the royal garments of your new life, but it immediately sees that there is absolutely no room in your closet. So, the universe begins to aggressively clear the clutter. It starts violently throwing out the jobs that underpay you, the friends who drain your energy, and the situations that keep you playing small. And what do? You drop to your knees, completely terrified, and you scream at the universe to stop. You grab onto the toxic relationship and you cry out that you need it. You cling to the miserable job and you beg to keep it because it provides a false sense of security. You cannot hold on to the heavy, decaying structures of your past while simultaneously demanding the limitless blessings of your future. They fundamentally do not fit in the same room. When the old begins to fall away, it rarely looks elegant. Falling apart is an aggressive, uncompromising process. Sometimes it looks like a massive betrayal. Sometimes it looks like a devastating failure in the eyes of society. You might wake up one morning and feel completely disoriented, wondering why every single pillar of your existence feels like it is being violently reorganized. You must realize that it feels like it is being reorganized because it is actively being reorganized. This is the preparation. You did not decree slow, polite, convenient blessings. You stood in your authority and you declared unstoppable, magnificent, life-altering blessings. Therefore, the universe must move with unstoppable, uncompromising force to make the path entirely clear. Anything that was actively blocking the flow of your new reality must be completely dismantled and removed from your environment. It is exactly like raising the temperature in a frozen room. Ice simply cannot survive the heat. The old limiting beliefs, the toxic cycles, and the stagnant, heavy energy must melt away because they legally do not belong in the new atmosphere you have commanded into existence. If it feels like things are shifting faster than your logical mind can explain, that is exactly what you asked for. That is the chemicalization process burning away the dross so the pure gold can emerge. This is the exact moment where your spiritual authority faces its ultimate test. The grand mistake that prevents millions of people from ever reaching their promised land is that they judge the entire manifestation process solely by the temporary appearance of the shaking. When the job fires them, they immediately revert back to their old, comfortable vibration of victimhood. They call their friends, they complain about how unlucky they are, and they loudly declare that nothing ever works out for them. By doing this, they instantly abort the miracle. They grab the steering wheel back from the superconscious mind, and they drive their ship straight back into the rocks. You must understand that life does not resist the aligned, but it violently resists the uncertain. When you decree wealth, but panic the moment you lose a source of income, you are sending a mixed, chaotic signal to the universe. You are telling your subconscious mind that you do not actually believe your own decrees. You must stand completely unwavering in the center of the destruction. When the physical world screams that you are losing everything, you must look directly at the collapsing structures and celebrate. You must praise the shaking. You must declare loudly that this destruction is the absolute proof that your new life is actively under construction. You must state that the old is falling away solely to make room for the spectacularly new. Do not panic when the universe begins to clean your house. Do not shed a single tear for the things that are being removed from your path, because anything that can be lost was never truly yours by divine right in the first place. What is yours by divine right can never be taken, can never be delayed, and can never be withheld. If a door slams shut in your face, you must immediately know, with absolute terrifying conviction, that a massive, golden gate is swinging wide open just around the corner. Your only job during the chemicalization phase is to fiercely hold the vibration of your decree. You cannot go back to speaking defeat. You cannot go back to calling yourself unlucky. You must maintain the inner atmosphere of a ruler who knows their commands are absolute law. When the old world burns, you must stand in the smoke, completely untouched, and boldly repeat your master decree. You must say that everything moving out of your life right now is leaving solely to make room for your divine inheritance. You must declare that you are not intimidated by the shifting of circumstances because your foundation is built entirely on the rock of spiritual truth, not on the shifting sands of physical appearances. When you hold your ground during the chemicalization, when you refuse to lower your vibration to match the temporary chaos, the smoke will clear with shocking speed, and you will find yourself standing directly in the center of the exact blessing you commanded to appear. You have survived the chemicalization. The false, rotting structures of your past have completely collapsed, and the heavy debris of your old limitations has been swept away. Now, you stand entirely clear and unapologetically ready to build your new kingdom. But you cannot build a magnificent, enduring empire on a foundation of chaotic, disorganized thoughts. The divine design of your life is not a fragmented, random existence tossed around by the unpredictable whims of fate. It is a perfect, flawless, mathematical structure. I call this profound structure the square of life. The square relies on 4 perfectly equal, indestructible pillars. These pillars are wealth, health, love, and perfect self-expression. If you possess massive, overflowing wealth, but your physical body is failing you in a hospital bed, your square is fundamentally broken. If you have perfect, vibrant health, but you are entirely alone, misunderstood, and completely devoid of love, your square is tragically incomplete. If you have love and health, but you spend every single day chained to a job that violently drains your soul, you are entirely out of alignment with your supreme destiny. You must have all four pillars standing tall to play the game of life flawlessly. You cannot settle for a fractured existence. You must strictly demand the absolute and complete manifestation of your divine right. Let us meticulously dissect each of these four magnificent pillars, because you must know exactly how to direct your subconscious engine room to construct them in your physical reality. You can no longer send mixed, timid signals. You must decree your reality with the absolute precision of a master architect. Let us begin with the most fiercely misunderstood pillar of human existence, which is wealth. Humanity has been deeply poisoned by the grand delusion that poverty is somehow a spiritual virtue. Let me completely eradicate that lie from your consciousness right now. Poverty is absolutely not a virtue. Poverty is a devastating, restrictive disease of the mind. It is a state of severe spiritual suffocation. When you look at the superconscious realm, when you observe the magnificent, effortless architecture of the universe, do you see any physical evidence of lack? There is absolutely no scarcity in a vast forest, no lack of water in the turbulent depths of the ocean, and absolutely no shortage of burning stars in the night sky. The universe is lavish, extravagant, and endlessly, unapologetically abundant. The only place lack truly exists is entirely within the deeply conditioned, terrified carnal mind of man. You have been systematically taught to fear money, to silently resent the wealthy, and to fiercely believe that you must exhaust yourself in a brutal cosmic endurance test just to pay your basic bills. You treat money as an evasive, malicious enemy rather than a polite, obedient servant. You must understand that wealth is not merely physical paper or glowing digital numbers on a bank screen. Wealth is spiritual substance deeply materialized. It is the physical, undeniable manifestation of your inner realization of absolute abundance. If you constantly speak of living on a fixed income, if you constantly declare that the global economy is permanently ruined, if you constantly complain that every single thing in your environment is far too expensive, you are forcefully commanding your subconscious mind to physically construct a massive steel wall between you and your divine supply. Your own careless words are literally choking the magnificent pipeline of your inherited blessings. You must radically flip the entire script today. You do not quietly wish for money. Wishing is the spiritual equivalent of begging outside a locked vault. You must stand up in your spiritual authority and boldly decree that your supply is infinite. When the illusion of lack desperately whispers that you do not have enough, you do not shrink, you do not analyze it, and you absolutely do not panic. You boldly declare that you draw immediately from the limitless abundance of the higher spheres. You powerfully command that all financial channels are entirely open and that massive blessings rush toward you without a single ounce of resistance. You state aloud that large sums of money come to you rapidly, under grace, and in perfectly orchestrated ways. When you hold this high vibration consistently, the universe has absolutely no choice but to physically arrange the exact circumstances, the brilliant ideas, and the perfect opportunities to flawlessly match your unyielding decree. We now forcefully move to the second vital pillar of your kingdom, which is health. You must absolutely realize that your physical body is the exact, unedited printout of your deepest subconscious mind. Your body is a miraculous, highly responsive spiritual instrument, but it possesses absolutely no independent will of its own. It merely acts as a faithful mirror, reflecting the emotional and vibrational atmosphere you choose to hold most consistently. When you harbor deep-seated anger, intense boiling resentment, chronic daily fear, or relentless self-condemnation, you are forcefully injecting pure spiritual acid directly into your own physical cells. Every single disease, every chronic ache, and every mysterious physical pain is fundamentally rooted in a severe state of disease within the subconscious mind. You simply cannot expect to possess a vibrant, indestructible physical vessel while your internal spiritual kingdom is an active war zone of highly toxic emotions. People constantly sabotage their own physical healing because they fiercely claim lifelong ownership over their ailments. They speak constantly of my terrible migraine, my deteriorating back, or my chronic genetic condition. The very moment you attach the possessive word "my" to a physical disease, your loyal subconscious mind instantly accepts it as your most cherished property and goes to work fiercely protecting it from any possible cure. You must entirely stop claiming illness as your core identity. You must stop speaking about your physical, temporary struggles as if they are permanent, unbreakable curses carved into stone. Your body is diligently listening to every single vibrating syllable you utter into the atmosphere. You must speak directly to your cells with absolute, uncompromising, majestic authority. You must aggressively deny the physical appearance of disease because it is absolutely not a part of your original divine design. You must loudly declare that you are a purely spiritual being, deeply and entirely filled with the radiant, healing light of infinite spirit. You directly command every organ, every tissue, and every microscopic cell to immediately align with the perfect, flawless health blueprint permanently held in your superconscious mind. You boldly declare that your energy is entirely endless, your physical vitality is completely unshakable, and your radiant health is a magnificent physical reflection of your inner spiritual harmony. When you aggressively remove the destructive decrees of physical sickness and instantly replace them with the unyielding decrees of perfect health, your physical body will rapidly and miraculously rebuild its entire structure to match the new, absolute command. The third unshakable pillar of the perfect square is love and relationships. This is the exact arena where human beings cause themselves the most excruciating, agonizing, and completely unnecessary pain, entirely because they constantly attempt to force the universe to aggressively bend to their own personal, carnal will. You foolishly believe that your limited intellect knows exactly who is perfectly right for you. You dangerously fixate on one specific person who actively ignores you, blatantly disrespects you, or completely abandons you, and you exhaust all of your precious spiritual energy trying to forcefully manipulate them into loving you back. You use your spiritual affirmations as a desperate tool of psychological manipulation rather than a majestic tool of divine alignment. You must completely understand that using personal will to force love always ends in devastating, heartbreaking tragedy. You cannot aggressively force a puzzle piece into a slot where it fundamentally, energetically does not belong. If someone does not naturally and effortlessly align with your highest divine good, you must forcefully and immediately let them walk away. You cannot desperately hold on to highly toxic emotional attachments while simultaneously trying to call in pure divine love. They fundamentally do not fit in the exact same spiritual closet. True, divine love absolutely does not require pathetic begging. It does not require endless painful compromise, and it certainly does not require you to aggressively diminish your own magnificent light. Divine love is a profound state of absolute, effortless, beautiful harmony. To successfully manifest the perfect relationships into your physical world, you must entirely release your frantic, terrified grip on the exact how and the exact who. You must immediately stop declaring that everyone eventually leaves you, or that you are deeply unlovable, or that all the good people are already taken. Those are horrific decrees of profound, permanent isolation. Instead, you must calmly and powerfully call upon the absolute law of divine harmony. You must boldly decree that you release all personal human will and that you are entirely, joyfully ready to receive the exact love that is divinely ordained for your specific path. You loudly declare that you are a highly powerful, irresistible magnet for people who genuinely love, profoundly honor, and consistently uplift your spirit. You boldly state that the perfect people and the exact right divine connections are effortlessly, rapidly moving directly into your physical reality right now. When you completely surrender your terrified personal demands and simply command divine harmony, the universe will flawlessly orchestrate physical meetings, coincidental conversations, and profound relationships that are vastly more beautiful than anything your limited logical mind could have ever possibly engineered. Finally, we arrive at the fourth and incredibly vital pillar of your existence, which is perfect self-expression, or your ultimate divine purpose. Every single human being was born onto this planet with a highly specific, magnificent blueprint. There is a precise place that you are uniquely destined to fill that absolutely no one else on this entire earth can successfully fill. There is a specific, brilliant work you are meant to do, a highly unique talent you are meant to generously share, and a brilliant, blinding light you are meant to shine into the dark corners of the world. This is your ultimate, undeniable destiny. Yet, millions upon millions of people miserably drag themselves out of bed every single morning to drive to jobs they vehemently despise. They tragically spend their entire finite lives laboring in toxic environments that slowly and violently drain their souls simply because they are completely terrified of the vast unknown. They falsely prioritize a fragile sense of physical, worldly security over their own massive divine calling. They look at their deepest, most profound passions and they arrogantly tell themselves that it is absolutely impossible to make a living doing what they actually deeply love. By speaking those exact, poisonous words into the atmosphere, they instantly and permanently lock the heavy iron door to their own personal genius. You must understand that your magnificent divine purpose is always fully and completely funded by the universe. Infinite intelligence would never, ever give you a profound, burning desire without completely providing the exact physical means, the necessary money, and the perfect connections to seamlessly fulfill it. Your burning desire is simply the superconscious mind actively tapping on the door of your physical awareness, loudly announcing that a magnificent, highly lucrative opportunity is patiently waiting for your direct authorization. You must immediately stop declaring that you are totally stuck. You must completely stop complaining that you have absolutely no idea what your life purpose actually is. The temporary confusion is merely a passing cloud artificially blocking the blazing sun of your destiny. You must stand firmly anchored in your spiritual authority and fiercely decree that the perfect, flawless plan of your life is now completely and undeniably revealed to your conscious mind. You boldly command infinite spirit to immediately open wide the way for your absolute right work. You loudly declare that the massive, hidden divine genius deeply locked within you is now entirely released, and that you are spectacularly, lavishly compensated for actively sharing your unique divine gifts with the world. You aggressively state that you are no longer aligned with miserable stagnation, but you are fiercely aligned with rapid movement, divine progress, and ultimate spiritual fulfillment. When you seamlessly bind these four magnificent pillars together, your square becomes utterly indestructible. You become an absolute, impenetrable fortress of pure divine alignment. Gracefully commanding your reality and flawlessly moving through the physical world as the unquestioned master of your own spectacular destiny. You have perfectly constructed the four magnificent pillars of your spiritual kingdom. You have boldly stood in your authority, and you have issued the unyielding decrees for your infinite wealth, your radiant health, your divine relationships, and your ultimate purpose. Yet, the very moment you finish speaking these powerful commands into the atmosphere, a profound and terrifying silence often follows. You open your eyes, you look around at your immediate physical environment, and you realize that absolutely nothing has visibly changed. The bank account still reads the exact same terrifyingly low number. The physical pain in your body continues to throb. The empty space in your home remains glaringly unoccupied, and the soul-draining job still expects you to arrive early on Monday morning. This is the exact, agonizing crossroads where millions of people completely abandon their spiritual power and run terrified back into the dark, familiar caves of their old victimhood. The human intellect, the carnal, conscious mind, immediately begins to panic. It violently grabs the steering wheel of your life and desperately tries to calculate the exact path. It screams at you, demanding to know how. How will the thousands of dollars arrive by next week? Who exactly is going to bring this magnificent divine relationship to your front door? What specific, logical sequence of events is going to miraculously cure your physical ailments? This frantic, desperate calculation of the how is the absolute destruction of your manifestation. Your intellect is vastly too small, too frightened, and too heavily conditioned by human limitation to ever comprehend the infinite, miraculous pathways of the superconscious mind. When you desperately try to figure out the exact logistics of your blessing, you are forcefully taking the entire burden of creation upon your own fragile human shoulders. You are loudly broadcasting a massive, undeniable vibration of fear straight into your subconscious engine room, completely canceling out every single powerful decree you just made. You are telling the universe that you absolutely do not trust its divine timing or its infinite resources. To shatter this devastating cycle, you must completely master the profound, ultimate spiritual secret of casting the burden. To cast the burden is to execute the most terrifying and magnificent act of non-resistance your human mind can possibly comprehend. It is the absolute, uncompromising surrender of your fragile human ego. It is the profound, bone-deep realization that there is a power infinitely greater, vastly more intelligent, and entirely limitless actively working on your exact behalf, provided you simply step out of its way. When you carry the heavy, suffocating burden of financial anxiety, or the crushing weight of loneliness, you are actively blocking the divine pipeline. You must physically, emotionally, and spiritually take that massive weight of worry and violently cast it onto the Christ within, the realm of the superconscious mind. You must speak aloud into the empty room, declaring that you cast this heavy burden of lack, this terrible burden of disease, and this suffocating burden of confusion onto the divine mind, and that you go entirely free. You must deeply understand that this is not a poetic metaphor. This is an exact, energetic transaction. You are literally taking the unsolvable problem out of the hands of your terrified, limited intellect and firmly placing it into the only department of your mind that actually possesses the sheer, unadulterated power to miraculously solve it. But here is the absolute law of this transaction. Once you hand the burden over to the infinite spirit, you absolutely cannot take it back. You cannot bravely cast the burden of your debt in the peaceful quiet of your morning meditation, only to spend your entire afternoon frantically agonizing over your bills, desperately calculating pennies, and complaining to your friends about the terrifying state of the global economy. That is not faith. That is profound spiritual hypocrisy. It is the exact equivalent of hiring a master architect to build your magnificent mansion, only to constantly rip the blueprints out of their hands because you are terrified they do not know how to pour the concrete. You must completely take your hands off the steering wheel. You must let the superconscious mind perfectly orchestrate the how, while you maintain absolute, unwavering focus on the final, magnificent outcome. This brings us to the most critical, life-altering distinction in the entire realm of reality creation. There is a massive, unforgiving difference between passive hope and active faith. The vast majority of humanity completely fails because they exclusively practice passive hope. They make their vision boards, they whisper their gentle affirmations, they kindly ask the universe for a favor, and then they sit frozen on their couches, anxiously staring at the door, waiting for the sky to suddenly open up and drop a massive miracle perfectly into their laps. They do not change their deeply ingrained behaviors, they do not alter their toxic environments, and they absolutely do not shift their internal emotional states. They are hopelessly waiting for the outside physical world to radically change so that they can finally give themselves permission to feel successful, wealthy, and loved. You must entirely and violently reverse this broken process right now. You absolutely do not wait for the physical, 3D evidence to arrive before you allow yourself to feel the reality of your answered decree. You must actively and fiercely assume the exact feeling of the wish already fulfilled in this precise moment. You must physically, mentally, and emotionally occupy the state of the person who already firmly possesses the exact blessing you just commanded into existence. This is the ultimate secret of active faith. Active faith is never about passively waiting. Active faith is entirely about aggressive, unapologetic preparation. If you have cast the burden of poverty and powerfully decreed massive, overflowing wealth, you fundamentally cannot continue to walk through the grocery store experiencing a deep, sickening sense of dread at the checkout line. You cannot continue to speak like a person who is entirely broke. If you do, your physical actions are violently contradicting your spoken words, and you are sending a massive, canceled order directly down into your subconscious machinery. You must actively and boldly prepare your physical environment for the massive blessing long before there is a single shred of logical, worldly evidence that it is actually arriving. This principle of preparation is the ultimate, undeniable demonstration of your absolute trust in the invisible spiritual laws. If you are powerfully decreeing a massive elevation in your career, you must physically prepare the vessel to receive that career right now. You must completely reorganize your workspace. You must dress entirely differently, even if you are working alone in your bedroom. And you must consistently conduct your daily affairs with the absolute, unshakable dignity and unquestioned authority of the exact person who already firmly holds that highly elevated position. If you are boldly decreeing the arrival of a spectacular divine partnership, you must physically make undeniable room for that person in your current life. You must aggressively clear out empty space in your physical closet. You must deliberately sleep on only one side of your bed, and you must mentally set an extra place at your dining table every single evening. You are actively digging the massive ditches for the divine water to flawlessly flow into. There is an ancient, profound truth regarding 3 terrified kings stranded in a scorching desert whose massive armies were rapidly dying of absolute thirst. The divine instruction commanded them to desperately dig massive, deep ditches throughout the entirely dry valley, promising them that they would not see a single drop of rain or feel a single gust of wind, yet the entire valley would miraculously fill with overflowing water. The carnal human intellect would viciously mock this ridiculous instruction. Why would anyone exhaust their dying energy, digging massive holes in a blistering desert with absolutely no physical sign of an approaching storm? But active faith does not look at the empty sky. Active faith aggressively digs the ditch. Active faith physically prepares the dry, empty vessel to receive the massive, unstoppable flood of divine supply. You must furiously dig your ditches right now in your own life. You must act precisely, confidently, and unapologetically as if the absolute manifestation of your decree has already fully materialized in your physical reality. There will absolutely be terrifying moments when the physical 3D world aggressively attempts to intimidate you into abandoning your post. There will be dark days when the vivid illusion of lack, disease, or isolation screams so loudly in your face that your physical knees feel weak and your heart violently pounds in your chest. Your intellect will aggressively whisper that you are completely delusional, that you are playing a foolish, dangerous game, and that you desperately need to face the harsh reality of the physical world. You must deeply and profoundly understand that this current physical reality you are so terrified of is absolutely nothing more than the dead, decaying echo of your own past thoughts and your own past ignorant decrees. It is a ghost. It has absolutely no tangible power over your magnificent future unless you foolishly decide to give it your powerful emotional reaction today. When the physical world violently contradicts your newly spoken decree, that is the exact, precise moment your active faith must become its most fierce, its most unyielding, and its most terrifyingly confident. You absolutely do not cower in the corner. You do not complain about how entirely unfair the universe is. You absolutely do not call a friend to desperately discuss how terrible your current situation has become. You use that exact moment of intense, crushing physical pressure to anchor yourself even deeper into your absolute spiritual authority. You look directly at the terrifying circumstance, you look directly at the unpaid bill or the medical report, and you aggressively, loudly declare that there is absolutely no power whatsoever in this false appearance of lack. You loudly state that you stand entirely firm on the unbreakable, indestructible rock of divine truth. You absolutely do not declare these powerful words because you currently feel confident. You relentlessly and aggressively declare these words until the sheer feeling of absolute, undeniable confidence completely overtakes your physical body and completely shatters the illusion standing in front of you. The ultimate, breathtaking secret of this active faith is reaching a profound, terrifying level of absolute surrender. You must completely, entirely let go of the human obsession with the timeline. The very exact moment you place a strict, panic deadline on the infinite universe, you are aggressively operating out of severe human fear and desperately attempting to use your limited personal will. You are loudly communicating to the superconscious mind that you simply do not trust its perfect, flawless divine timing. You must understand that divine timing is very rarely logical to the human brain, but it is always, without exception, spectacularly flawless. When you truly and completely cast the massive burden, you completely stop constantly checking your watch. You stop anxiously staring out the window, desperately waiting for the magical delivery to arrive. You move your entire internal state entirely out of the desperate vibration of waiting and directly into a massive, unshakable state of profound gratitude. I am absolutely not speaking of a passive, polite, quiet gratitude that you mindlessly murmur at the end of a nightly prayer. I am speaking of a fierce, aggressive, overwhelming gratitude that loudly gives massive, tearful thanks for the magnificent blessing long before it has ever physically materialized in your hands. This specific form of intense gratitude is the absolute highest energetic vibration of human reception. When you loudly and joyfully thank the infinite universe for the massive wealth you cannot yet logically see, for the perfect health you cannot yet physically feel, and for the divine love you cannot yet physically touch, you are sending a massive, undeniable, explosive signal directly into the subconscious mind that the magnificent blessing is already a concrete, unchangeable reality. The subconscious engine room has absolutely no other choice but to rapidly, violently close the gap between your intense internal state of gratitude and your external physical environment. You instantly become an irresistible, terrifyingly powerful divine magnet. You are absolutely no longer desperately chasing your desires through the physical world. You are actively, effortlessly drawing them directly into your physical space through the sheer, uncompromising, and absolutely unbreakable gravity of your active faith. We have journeyed deep into the absolute core of your spiritual machinery. You have learned to ruthlessly silence the panicked intellect. You have executed the supreme law of forgiveness, completely wiping your karmic slate entirely clean and effectively clearing the toxic debris from your spiritual closet. You have bravely stood, unwavering through the terrifying fires of chemicalization, completely understanding that the violent destruction of your old life was merely the universe aggressively making room for your new empire. You have meticulously laid down the 4 indestructible pillars of the perfect square of life, boldly demanding your infinite wealth, your radiant health, your divine relationships, and your magnificent self-expression. You have even mastered the ultimate, agonizing act of active faith by entirely casting the heavy burden of the how onto the superconscious mind, actively digging your ditches in the blistering desert long before a single drop of rain has physically fallen. You have done the invisible work. You have aligned your conscious mind, your subconscious engine room, and your superconscious blueprint into one devastatingly powerful unified force. But all of this profound preparation, all of this magnificent spiritual architecture, absolutely requires a final, unbreakable seal. It requires a supreme anchor that permanently locks this new reality into your physical environment. This is the exact moment we transition from merely speaking powerful words to completely and entirely shifting your core identity, because you must understand a profound, absolute truth. Your divine blessings do not fundamentally respond to the tired, terrified person you were yesterday. They absolutely do not respond to the victim who was constantly begging the universe for a temporary break. The infinite universe only responds to the exact identity you boldly declare yourself to be in this precise microscopic moment. The greatest illusion that continues to keep humanity entirely enslaved is the persistent, agonizing belief that the blessing is an external object. You falsely believe that the blessing is the physical stack of money, the specific romantic partner, the prestigious career title, or the glowing medical report. You spend your entire life desperately chasing these physical shadows, completely exhausting your spiritual energy, trying to forcefully grasp them with your bare hands. You must radically awaken to the truth right now. The physical money is absolutely not the blessing. The relationship is not the blessing. The new physical house is not the blessing. Those physical things are absolutely nothing more than the automatic, unavoidable, external byproducts of the true blessing. The true blessing is your internal, unwavering alignment with the divine mind. The blessing is your absolute, unshakable realization of your own spiritual authority. When you finally grasp this magnificent truth, your entire paradigm violently shifts. You completely stop chasing the physical objects. You stop desperately trying to manipulate the physical, three-dimensional world. Instead, you fiercely guard your internal alignment. You fiercely guard your spoken words. You realize that when you loudly declare that nothing can stop your blessings, what you are actually, fundamentally declaring to the entire universe is that absolutely nothing can stop your internal alignment. No temporary physical circumstance, no sudden financial crisis, and no negative opinion from another human being possesses the sheer power to knock you off your spiritual throne, unless you explicitly hand them the keys to your kingdom. The external world is merely a mirror, entirely incapable of acting on its own. It can only faithfully reflect the exact identity you are projecting into it. This is precisely why the ultimate master decree is so terrifyingly vital. There will come a specific, defining moment in your manifestation journey that will test the absolute limits of your spiritual endurance. It is the agonizing moment right before the massive breakthrough finally pierces through the physical veil. In this specific moment, the resistance of the old world will fight back with unprecedented, vicious ferocity. The physical evidence will scream louder than ever that you have completely failed. It will look exactly as though you are standing in a completely barren valley, holding a shovel, having dug massive ditches for weeks, and the sky is completely devoid of a single cloud. Your logical intellect will viciously mock you. Your friends and family might look at your unwavering faith and call you completely delusional. This is the exact spiritual crossroad where the grand majority of human beings violently drop their shovels. They surrender to the illusion of the physical senses. They allow the temporary appearance of lack to completely overwrite their magnificent spiritual decrees. They stop digging when they are literally inches away from striking the most massive vein of pure gold they could ever possibly imagine. You absolutely must not drop your shovel. You must absolutely not look at the empty ditch and aggressively declare that the universe has entirely forgotten your address. You must understand that the darkest, most terrifyingly silent moment of the night is always the exact, precise moment just before the sun violently breaks the horizon. You do not fight this final, desperate wave of resistance by working harder in the physical world. You absolutely do not fight it by desperately trying to manipulate your circumstances. You fight this final illusion by standing completely still, looking directly at the terrifying void, and speaking your absolute truth vastly louder, vastly bolder, and with far more terrifying conviction than you ever have before. You must elevate your words from mere hopeful affirmations into a permanent, unyielding spiritual decree that entirely rewrites your energetic identity. This ultimate master decree is the absolute culmination of every single spiritual law we have discussed. It is the heavy, impenetrable steel vault that permanently protects your perfect square of life. When you speak this specific decree, you are actively dissolving every single mixed signal you have ever accidentally broadcasted. You are aggressively overriding the terrified security guard of your conscious mind. You are forcefully commanding the magnificent engine room of your subconscious mind to operate at its absolute maximum, unlimited capacity. You must speak this not with the quiet, timid voice of someone hoping for a miracle, but with the deep, resonant, undeniable authority of a divine creator who absolutely knows that the physical world has no choice but to immediately bow to their command. You must prepare your physical body to receive this vibration right now. You must physically sit up straighter. You must completely open your chest, and you must prepare to forcefully project these words not just into your physical room, but directly into the infinite expanse of your own future. You do not declare these words because you currently feel completely confident. You relentlessly declare these words until the sheer, undeniable force of the vibration completely shatters your lingering doubts and forces your physical emotions to immediately catch up to your spiritual reality. The internal feelings will absolutely follow the confidently spoken word. The physical manifestation will absolutely follow the deeply held feeling. That is the exact, unbreakable law of the universe. Let these words echo through the absolute deepest corridors of your subconscious mind. Speak them aloud with me right now, and let them become the permanent, unshakable foundation of your entire existence. I boldly and unconditionally declare that I am a massive, irresistible magnet for divine abundance. I completely and entirely release all human resistance to receiving my absolute highest good. I forcefully declare that every single blessing assigned to me by my original divine, right now, rushes directly into my physical life without a single ounce of delay. Absolutely nothing can stop what is divinely mine. No economic condition, no past human mistake, no closed physical door, and absolutely no temporary appearance of lack possesses the sheer power to hold back my magnificent inheritance. I boldly declare that everything I physically touch is deeply and profoundly guided by infinite intelligence. Every single desire planted in my heart is not only entirely possible, but is actively manifesting in my physical reality in perfect, flawless, divine order. I am no longer aligned with the heavy, exhausting vibration of stagnation or struggle. I am completely, permanently aligned with massive movement, magnificent progress, and terrifying divine acceleration. I loudly declare that my physical life is rapidly opening in miraculous ways that my limited human mind cannot possibly yet comprehend, but that my spiritual heart completely and entirely trusts. I declare that the right people, the right opportunities, and the right massive sums of money are effortlessly tracking me down right now. I completely step out of the way of the universe. I entirely cast the burden of the how onto the superconscious mind, and I stand joyfully, powerfully, and completely free. I am the absolute master of my kingdom, and my spoken word is absolute, unbreakable law. And so it is. You have now completely shifted the fundamental atmosphere of your existence. You have boldly opened the massive, heavy gates, and the unstoppable flood of divine blessings is actively rushing toward you at a terrifying, miraculous speed. But you absolutely cannot let this magnificent shift remain solely in the invisible realm of your thoughts. You must actively drag this massive spiritual energy directly down into the physical world right now through an immediate, decisive action. You must physically anchor your newly claimed identity. Do not let this incredibly powerful video simply end. Do not passively close this application, and absolutely do not walk away in complete silence to slip comfortably back into your old, terrified routines. I command you to take your newly activated spiritual wand and aggressively use it in the physical world right this very second. Go directly into the comments section below this video and physically type the ultimate, unyielding truth of your new reality. Type the words, "Nothing can stop my blessings." By physically typing those exact words, you are not merely leaving a digital comment on a video. You are actively, physically legislating your new reality. You are signaling to your subconscious mind that you completely believe the decree you just boldly spoke aloud. You are making a concrete, physical action that perfectly aligns with your newly elevated spiritual vibration. And if you are truly, deeply, and absolutely ready to completely abandon the miserable, exhausting illusion of struggle, if you are entirely ready to walk every single day in the magnificent, unstoppable light of divine favor, you must hit the subscribe button right now. By subscribing, you are forcefully building an impenetrable environment of absolute faith. You are boldly declaring to the universe that you refuse to go backward, that you refuse to entertain the heavy whispers of lack, and that you are permanently joining a powerful, collective community of individuals who do not passively bow to their terrifying circumstances, but who actively and magnificently command them. Your massive breakthrough is not delayed. Your magnificent path is absolutely not blocked. Everything meant for you is already moving violently toward you. Keep your powerful wand raised. Keep your spoken words entirely pure, and absolutely prepare yourself to witness the spectacular, miraculous unfolding of your true, divine reality. You have completely shifted your atmosphere today. Do not let this powerful momentum fade away into silence. Subscribe to this channel right now to permanently anchor yourself to this high vibration of divine truth. Hit the like button to seal your master decree and share this video with someone who desperately needs to break free from the illusion of struggle. I want to hear your voice of authority. Go to the comments and proudly declare that nothing can stop your blessings. I will see you in the next masterclass as we continue to actively build your unstoppable empire.